Manchester United have made an inquiry about Tyler Dibling. The Francisco Trincao interest is genuine. Signing a new goalkeeper is the priority, with Ruben Amorim unimpressed with Andre Onana. Man United want to replace Harry Maguire with Jarrad Branthwaite. Kobbie Mainoo's new contract is close. Sancho hands in a transfer request at Chelsea, and a big injury boost as players start to return from injury, including Amad Diallo, who could be close to a return. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with all the transfer noise. So, Ruben Amorim will be looking for a winger this summer. Francisco Trincao is an option, but Tyler Dibling could be converted into a right wing back. Jason Wilcox is an asset to try to persuade him. So this came from Chris Wheeler, who's he is a decent source. Could be a shit stirrer sometimes, writes for the Daily Mail, but has been really accurate recently. He's actually broken stories before, like Romano and Ornstein. In the past, so he's one to kind of pay attention to, suggesting that we're looking for a new winger and that Trincao and Tyler Dibling are the names amongst the names that we're looking for. Obviously, in the system, we would play him as like the 10 or a wing back, but remember what Omar Barada was saying before, that we want players that can play in multiple positions in different formations as well. So on Dibling, he said Manchester United have inquired about Tyler Dibling. Jason Wilcox knows Dibling from his time at Southampton. Manchester United were among the clubs in Bangor to watch Tyler Dibling with England's under-21 against Wales. 14 Premier League clubs have inquired about him, though, as well. So, according to Chris Wheeler, confirming that Manchester United have made inquiries for Tyler Dibling, but also suggesting so is pretty much everybody else in the Premier League as well. He's mentioning teams abroad like Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund and all sorts. So there is a lot of interest in Tyler Dibling. He is potentially a fantastic player. I like Tyler Dibling. I think he's a very talented young player with a really bright future ahead of him as well. I do think he'd be a good signing for us as well. I know there's an argument to say that we need a bit more experience and stuff in the squad, which I can kind of see the point of view from, and it's a fair shout. But also as well, one of the mistakes we've made in the past, right, is going for experienced players, i.e. the Zlatans, the Cavani's, the Ronaldos, and missing out on the young up-and-coming players that were all sat here saying, why didn't we take a punt on them when they were a little bit younger? And if we reverse that, then, because it's not exactly worked for the last 10 to 12 years, has it, going down the route of getting the experienced players and that in? So maybe a change in direction is good, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and expecting a different result. So maybe we should be going for these younger players. Well, that's my opinion on that anyway, but let me know your thoughts below. But I like Dibling. I think he'd be a good player for us to kind of bring in and develop, and he can play in a couple of different positions as well. And I thought, again, when Southampton played us at home, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. But yeah, give us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts on Dibling below. Now, obviously, the other player mentioned in the report was Trincao. So Francisco Trincao was an option for Manchester United this summer. The Trincao interest is genuine. He's liked, but anything else is premature at this stage. Deal also believed not to be expensive if we do pursue one. Now, that came from United NAD, who doesn't normally post like rumours and stuff like that as well. It's like an aggregator for United News, but when he does, fairly decent actually. So confirming that the Trincao interest is genuine, but it's nothing advanced at this stage, not believed to be too expensive. We'll have a year left on his contract in the summer. And the reports the other day when he was linked was saying about £30 million. Obviously a little bit more experience than Dibling in that position, 25, 26. I showed the stats in the video the other day regarding his goals and assists. If you want someone that can lay on chances for somebody, then Trincao is not a bad shout. Obviously played in the Premier League as well. He was at Wolves, although not the most outstanding time at Wolves, let's be truthful, but would be an alternative option. Yeah, and I like both, to be fair. I like Trincao and I like Dibling. I think both could do a kind of job, and I just suppose it'll come down to whether we want somebody a little bit more ready-made in Trincao, or do we want someone more developmental in Dibling, and then the price, the wage, the competition as well. Obviously, we've mentioned that a lot of teams are going to be in for Tyler Dibling that are maybe in a better position financially than us, and maybe in a better position in terms of league position and stuff like that as well. But, I wouldn't be against bringing in either, to be fair, because we do need a forward. I like to play in one of the kind of number 10 positions. Possibly, like Dibling could possibly play right wing back as well, or be developed into that role as well. So there's a lot more. But I'd take either, to be fair. So I suppose, like I said, it just all boils down to the price and competition and things like that as well. But give us your thoughts on those in the comments below. It'll be interesting to hear your opinion on Trincao and Tyler Dibling. Do you think they'd be good signings? And that if you had to pick out of one, who you going for? Give us your thoughts below. Now, another player that's been linked with us recently is Mecha. So Manchester United are closely monitoring Felix Mecha. Other Premier League clubs, including Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea and Aston Villa, are also interested in the 24-year-old Dortmund talent. These clubs are waiting to assess his injury situation before making a potential €48 million offer, with plans to hold off any bid until Mecha returns to the pitch. Now, that came from Ekram Connor, and that's a fair point, actually, because he has had a few injuries recently, currently out injured, been out injured for a while as well. So, maybe teams, that would be, sensible for teams to wait and see. I did say it when we were linked with him that my concern with him would be his injury record, because he's had a few injuries over the last couple of seasons. And it seems that maybe, according to that report, clubs are the same as well, want to see how he kind of comes back and whether that's affected his performances or whether he stays fit again for a period of time, because it is a lot of money to pay for somebody who hasn't had the best injury record over the last couple of seasons as well. But on Mecha, the Muppeteers said Mecha to Manchester United seems unlikely, and the Muppeteers did a good video yesterday around transfer news and stuff, and was kind of saying that it seems unlikely at the moment, which is fair enough. Maybe it's a player that we are, interested in, but not as much as some other kind of players. Or we could just be used as clickbait to try and get interest from other teams. There's that possibility as well. But give us your thoughts on that below. Now, another player from Connor's linked us with is Chris Rigg. Manchester United have placed Sunderland wonder kid Chris Rigg near the top of their list of transfer targets for the summer, and they are already working hard to secure his signature for the summer as well. Chris Rigg's a name that we have been heavily linked with. We know we're scouting him. He's a player that I'm sure there was a report before by one of United's former head scout saying that he's a player that they've been extensively scouting and watching for a while now as well. Very talented. My friends and family and stuff, do you know what I mean, say he's an outstanding player. They don't think he's quite ready yet, though. That's the kind of vibe and the things I get from my friends and family that are also like that Sunderland season ticket holders that watch the games, and so they think Joe Bellingham is more ready than Chris Rigg, but Chris Rigg will probably be more talented than Joe Bellingham out of the two. Probably would be an attacking midfielder as well, so somebody that would probably play more as the 10, could play as an 8, but he would be more likely to be brought in as one of the attacking midfielder roles. Again, very highly regarded, very highly thought after, very talented young player, and that seems to be the route they're kind of going down. And I'm not against it, I've got to be honest. I know there's a lot of, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of clamour for we need experienced players as well as young players. Do we really? Because getting all the experienced players hasn't helped us at all in the past, has it? You know what I mean? So maybe we do need to go for the young players that can grow and can develop. And we still have some experienced players in the squad. Maguire's still going to be here next season. De Ligt's here, Mazraoui's here, Bruno, Dalot. Do you know what I mean? We do have a few experienced players around the place as well. It's not like we've just got an entire 30-man squad of youth players. There are some experienced players that are going to be staying. But yeah, give us your thoughts on Chris Rigg. Now let's go for the Onana news. So Ruben Amorim has been unimpressed with the performance of Andre Onana this season. Royal Antwerp's Senne Lammens is attracting the attention of the giant clubs of Europe and the Premier League with his performances this season. So that came from Ekram Connor. The Saudi Pro League have shown an interest in Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana. The Cameroon star would be open to moving to the Middle East this summer. Now that came from Graham Bailey, who I always find to be a little bit hit and miss, but it's not the first time we've heard stories linking Onana potentially going to the Saudi Pro League. That would be good because they can pay, I don't know if we'll make a massive profit on Onana, but they'll be able to pay, at least we'll maybe get our money back. And obviously they can give him a solid wage as well for him to kind of go to the Saudi Pro League. So that's an interesting situation. The Muppeteers, though, said that signing a goalkeeper is a priority for the club. It is not guaranteed that Onana will leave, but it is possible it could happen. It is not estimated to spend more than £40 million for that position. So, yes, we might be then looking at another goalkeeper, but according to the Muppeteers, we're not looking necessarily for like a Costa, for example, who's going to cost probably a little bit more than £40 million, but maybe somebody... going back to the report, like Lammens, the rumours are around 30 million is what they would want, although that could be negotiated down, or it might be more expensive with the interest, because there are a lot of teams that have been linked with Lammens. With Chevalets, we've been linked with as well. The rumours were about 40 million euros, so around 33 million pounds that works out to be. So there's a few kind of interesting names. James Trafford, he's going to be a little bit cheaper, although I see James Trafford as more of like a developmental goalkeeper, like to bring in at the moment personally, but yeah, definitely kind of no smoke without fire regarding the goalkeeper situation as well. I do think it should be a priority as well. I do think that at the moment, the nervousness that Onana creates is not good, and you just never know when he's going to have a mistake in him as well. And it's not comfortable watching when, like, even just the simple things, simple crosses into the box, you're worried about what's going to kind of happen next as well. So yeah, going to be interesting to see what kind of happens with the goalkeeper situation, because there is no smoke without fire, and there's some, the Muppeteers is a good source, saying that it's a priority. There's a lot more noise going on regarding goalkeeper situation, and Amorim may be wanting to bring somebody himself in that position as well. But a lot would depend on whether Onana wants to go, because he's still under contract. But remember, he has changed agencies as well. So that's, to me, normally a sign that you're looking to do something. And I don't think he's in a position where we're negotiating a new contract with him as well. So, we'll keep an eye on it for you. Give us your thoughts below. Now, Manchester United want to replace Harry Maguire with Jarrad Branthwaite. The footballer is valued at £70 million. That came from Fraser Fletcher, who writes for Team Talk, who's not the most credible, but is a decent kind of source. £70 million, yeah, I think they can jog on for £70 million for Jarrad Branthwaite, in my opinion. But interesting that he's saying they want to replace Harry Maguire, because Chris Wheeler said the following. Now, Chris Wheeler actually broke the Jarrad Branthwaite story last summer, if you remember. So Manchester United have not had contact with Jarrad Branthwaite's camp about signing him for some time. But then the Muppeteer said he believes £40 million would get a deal done for Branthwaite, and he was kind of suggesting, like I did in the video the other day, that look, if someone at United wants Branthwaite, because had Everton accepted the bid for him last summer, he would be our player. So there's something there in the kind of links with Branthwaite. But in terms of the Maguire news as well, the club have been trying to sell Maguire for the past two markets, but its high salary demands have caused clubs to pull out of the deal. That again came from Fraser Fletcher in the same report, suggesting that we want to bring in Branthwaite and potentially sell Harry Maguire, although Ruben Amorim likes Harry Maguire. But then on the flip side, he did say that we can't play the way that he wants to play because of the profile of the defenders that we've got, i.e. he wants to play like quicker defenders so he can play higher up the pitch. And Maguire and De Ligt are not exactly the quickest centre-halves, although I do think De Ligt's deceptively fast for someone of his size. But Maguire is definitely not. And you can see the difference. I was speaking to my brother all the other day, and it's nothing against Maguire. I like him. I think he's pulled his career around at United from what seemed to be an inevitable exit, turned it around, put in some really good performances. And I do like Harry Maguire in terms of that, but you notice the difference when he's in the team, because we can't play as high up the pitch as what we normally can. And that's the kind of difference. So maybe Amorim would want to move him on for that reasons, but we need to kind of keep an eye on it. And in terms of other defenders, obviously you mentioned there Branthwaite. Give us your thoughts on that. Actually, I forgot to ask, what are your thoughts on Branthwaite? There's clear interest in there. We agreed personal terms, made a bid. Had that been accepted, Branthwaite would be our player right now. But obviously Everton were wanting excessive amounts of money for him as well. So, there's no smoke without fire with Branthwaite. There may be interest in us going back in for him as well. But another defender is Cicek. He's a young guy from Turkey. The Mirror was saying that Tottenham, Bayern, Atletico Madrid, Man United, Napoli, and RB Leipzig are all interested in the signing of Fenerbahce centre-back Yusuf Cicek, and he's one that I would say is on the list of potential centre-halves, if we want to kind of bring in, or defenders, young defenders, would fit the mould of maybe a little bit more of what we're looking for. But then do we want somebody a little bit more Premier League proven? Branthwaite could kind of be that. You know, again, we'll have to keep an eye on it for you. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, there's been a lot of noise recently regarding Jadon Sancho. So Jadon Sancho has submitted a transfer request to his management to move to Borussia Dortmund again. Now, that came from Sport Bild, saying that effectively he's already handed in a transfer request at Chelsea because he wants to go back to Dortmund. That would be insane. The word out of Chelsea is that they intend to keep Jadon Sancho. That is also what Manchester United think. Now, that came from a BBC journalist who's fairly credible. Sources close to Chelsea have played down the possibility that Sancho could return to Manchester United. That came from Rob Dawson, who's a decent source. Graham Bailey, however, said that Borussia Dortmund are interested in re-signing Jadon Sancho. Chelsea may sign Sancho permanently for Manchester United and then sell him to Borussia Dortmund to make a quick profit on his signature. I'm not really bothered about stuff like that as well, as long as we don't, you know, as long as he's no longer our problem. And whether Chelsea buy him, I said that the other day, if Chelsea buy him and then sell him, you know, maybe that's the way they get around the fact that they maybe don't want to keep him, and then Bild saying that he's already handed in a transfer request at Chelsea because he wants to go to Dortmund, and then Graham Bailey's linking him with Dortmund as well. Maybe there's a situation there as well, but that's down to Chelsea to deal with. The main kind of takeaways was that Chelsea played down the possibility of a return, and the word from Chelsea is that they intend to keep Sancho. But again, things could change between now and the end of the season because Chelsea are hardly going to come out and say, we don't want to keep him at this stage, because then Sancho's form will drop and they've still got games to obviously play for the rest of the season as well. So there could be a little bit of gamesmanship there from Chelsea that can't be ruled out. But, you know, all roads are leading. Romano did say, as I mentioned the other day, that, you know, he felt that Chelsea wanted to keep him and that United think that he's going to kind of, you know, stay at Chelsea. So, but I'll bring you any more updates because no doubt there will be more noise about Jadon Sancho. I just can't wait to draw a line in that entire saga. Right, then let's run through some injury news. So Amad Diallo has made positive progress in his rehab work in the last 2 weeks, been doing a lot of strength and rehab work, and Man United are aiming for him to be on grass within the next month, so in April, has improved much sooner than expected. Now that came from, it used to be Sully Says, now he's changed his handle to Sully Talks. At the time I was doing these kind of slides and stuff as well. Been really credible recently with injury news and stuff behind the scenes at United as well. So that's really good. He did post a cryptic message on his Instagram, like a back soon kind of post as well, which is really, really positive, so that we could get Amad Diallo, because the feelings was that would be the end of his season. So if we can get him back by the end of April, possibly beginning of May, where we still may hopefully still have a push for the Europa League, that will be a massive boost to get Amad Diallo back, because, you know, let's not forget how good he was before he got injured as well. He was absolutely outstanding for us this season, so we do need him back as soon as possible. But we've got more players returning as well. So Kobbie Mainoo and Harry Maguire have returned back to grass training this morning. Both have done well in their rehab work in recent weeks and fitness levels have improved. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're available, but a huge boost. So a bit more injury kind of news. Kobbie Mainoo, Harry Maguire potentially back as well. Ruben Amorim is just on Kobbie actually on his in a second. It says Ruben Amorim is hopeful Kobbie Mainoo will be back after a 2-month spell. A club source said a number of players available against Forest depends on how they come through training this week. So again, Samuel Lucker suggesting that Kobbie Mainoo is back, and on his contract, the Muppeteers said the following: Kobbie Mainoo's new contract negotiations are very active, and it is strongly believed that the deal will be closed. The view of Kobbie Mainoo's overall level of talent and skill is one that Manchester United don't want to lose. There's much more of a chance of Garnacho to leave than Mainoo this summer, so that was interesting from the Muppeteers, who was kind of talking about, you know, potentially us selling like some young players, and that there's a lot more, you know, potential that Garnacho would be sold ahead of Mainoo, especially if we're going to give Mainoo a new contract. He's obviously seen as somebody for the future at the club as well. But obviously there was clearly interest in Garnacho, and whether he might want to go himself as well. He's not happy with his position change. Maybe he wants to go somewhere and be a left winger. You don't know. That can't be ruled out as well. But that's positive on Kobbie Mainoo. And just on that as well, Laurie Whitwer had the following regarding the rumours suggesting that that Kobbie Mainoo was demanding £200,000 a week. He said, when I asked about that, I got a very strong rebuttal to say that it is not true. It's one source that I would trust this person, so I think adjust your perspective on that, I would say. So what he was kind of saying with all the rumours before around Kobbie Mainoo demanding £200,000 a week and 180 grand a week, Laurie Whitwell said he's asked sources at the club and got a very strong rebuttal to say that is simply not true. I did say at the time it felt a little bit like agent talk, maybe where they're putting it out. I don't think it painted Kobbie Mainoo in a good light, though, hearing all those stories, but it could have just been media mischief as well. But according to Laurie Whitwell, he's not asking for anywhere near that sort of salary. And like I said, Kobbie Mainoo does not negotiate his own contracts anyway. That's what he pays an agency to go and do. No player sits at the table and negotiates their own deal anymore. It's all done through agents. But if their agents putting that story out there around 200 grand a week, then they're shit agents, in my opinion. But, Laurie Whitwell was saying, no, not true. Not asking for anywhere near that sort of money. I think maybe around the Ahmed got, 120 grand a week, I think it was. I think maybe a little bit less than that for Kobbie Mainoo because he's a little bit younger and he's a bit more injury prone, I would say. Although Ahmed's out injured at the moment, how stupid does that sound? But yeah, around that sort of thing, I think would be a fair reflection on Kobbie Mainoo because he's amongst the first team at the moment. So and he's only on 20 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? So it needs to be more reflective of his position in the squad, but nowhere near like the crazy 200 grand a week contract. That would be insane. And I don't think anyone else are going to do it anyway. But and then finally, Aidan Heaven has a chance of participating in training when Manchester United's international players return. So big injury boost as well. Obviously, Shaw potentially back on grass, probably be out again within a couple of weeks' time. Mason Mount's back. We should have a little competition. Who's going to be injured first when they're back? Shaw or Mount? Give us your thoughts in the comments on that one. Maguire potentially back. Mainoo potentially back. Potentially Heaven back as well. Ahmed back soon. Rumours are Lenny Yoro might be back as well. So there's a load of players coming back for a really busy period for us as well, which will be a massive boost because we do need rotation options as well. We saw like towards the end of the kind of last stretch of games that we had where some players just looked a little bit dead on their feet because there's been a lack of rotation that we could do because of the injuries. So the first team players are having to play a lot more minutes. So I do think having those players back and having a bit more rotation around is going to really help us towards the end of the season as well. And plus there's some good players coming back. Yoro, Maguire, Mainoo can kind of help us out as well, and especially Ahmed. Ahmed's been one of our best players this season. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Don't forget to smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.